Oh, hey there, and welcome to the Ope Three-Way Pro Wrestling Podcast on this hot June. What is today? June 16th, June 17th? I'm lost in the
It
time
is
warp
the
here.
seventeenth.
We're a day early. This is peculiar. It kind of threw me off a bit. Hell,
That's not me.
I'm also holding a bloody instead of a beer, but you know what? We keep it consistent, fellas. Here we all are. It's me, Donnie, Pierce, fellas. How are we doing on this hot day? Maybe it's not so hot by you, Donnie. I don't know.
It's not. You guys keep saying that it's hot, and I don't feel like you're like southern United States, but
It's rough. It's rough out there today.
It's unpleasant. I'll give it that much, especially for our more northern standard.
It's hot.
I
It's
mean,
humid. We're a day early because of my work reasons. It's we're here, and that's okay.
it's 70 degrees here in
oh, that
Toronto.
sounds so nice. That
Oh yeah,
sounds
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. I see you guys are 29 Celsius, a logical number.
Are we gonna do this again?
I mean,
Not
we're gonna do
quite.
it every time we talk about the weather when it first comes
part
up.
part two in
84,
the saga.
84 Fahrenheit feels like 86. It's hot as shit.
It's only
It's
gonna get hotter too. We might be looking at hundos by the weekend, Pierce. Do you see that shit?
well, and that's probably a good time for a lake day. But as for today, why don't you find people listening? Follow us on all our socials: X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Dropkicked. Am I missing any? YouTube. That's probably a big YouTube, Spotify, maybe. Those
Yeah,
might be
the
helpful.
ones that we actually put our podcast on.
Yeah, our
Yeah,
primary mediums. Yeah, sure. Just throw those in there.
might be helpful.
Yeah,
Um, but to answer, I'm doing Brandon. Donnie, how are you?
I'm doing like it's comfortable here, so I got nothing to complain about in that regard.
Hey,
Complaining about a bunch
that's
of other
always some.
things though.
There's always stuff to complain about in this world, but not weather related at this time.
Well,
Excellent.
I can give you something you can never complain about. Donnie, could you please hit me
I
with it?
can.
That's, that sounded like a very complaining tone. I don't know. Maybe just me. Anywho.
Why are you starting up shit already? The hot takes haven't even started yet.
Oh well, here I'll keep my mouth shut here.
All right, let's start this again because
In 1985, two major WWF debuts happened at the WWF TV taping in Poughkeepsie, New York. One of the people I consider one of the GOATs, Terry Funk, debuted for the WWF for the first time, and then Randy Macho Man Savage also debuted.
Hmm.
Two
Same time.
legendary figures. We'll jump ahead to 2012. WWE No Way Out was held at the Izod Center in East Rutherford, New Jersey. In the main event, John Cena defeated The Big Show in a steel cage match, which means John Laurinaitis was fired from his position as Raw GM and could no longer have people power. I can't do his voice.
people power.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. You
close.
just gotta
I just got to smoke
smoke like an
cigarettes
extra
for 20
30.
years.
I
Yeah,
haven't
smoke
smoked
a
a
couple
day in my
stogies.
life, but people power.
Also on the card, in what probably should have been the main event, was CM Punk retaining his WWE Championship in a triple threat match against Kane and Daniel Bryan. But, John Laurinaitis and John Cena are more important, apparently.
Now, just as often as any.
Yeah, I mean one of them was at least.
Well, we'll jump ahead to 2018. Money in the Bank was held at the Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois, one of the greatest arenas in the United States for sound quality and everything about it. Chicago always shows up.
Is that actually
In
Hmm.
the
true?
Yeah, the way they have it built, the sound is like better in there. I don't know how to explain it, but wrestler I've seen who talks about it. Stone Cold said it's his favorite place to perform. And who are we to argue with Stone Cold?
It's the reverberation. That's all I had to say.
Also was known once as the Rosemont Horizon, for what it's worth.
Mm.
In the women's Money in the Bank match, Alexa Bliss would win and would cash in successfully about an hour later against Nia Jax to become the Raw Women's Champion again. In the men's match, which was also the main event, Braun Strowman would win, but would be unsuccessful in his cash-in because a Hell in a Cell match ended in a no contest.
Nice.
Oddly enough, that was one of the more forgettable wins, I feel like, in the scope of Money in the Bank. You'd think such a large man winning the match would constitute, well, definitely a successful cash-in, but also a memorable win. And it's easy to forget that one, at least for me.
Well, it would have been better if maybe he would have won his cash-in attempt, or like didn't lose in a Hell in a Cell match in a no contest or DQ because it's a Hell in a Cell match, and that's stupid. And it was the worst Hell in a Cell finish for one whole year.
Yeah. Yeah, that was not a great span for Hell in a Cell. Well, and two, like, wasn't that peak Braun Strowman during that time? Like, wasn't that one of the years where you should have slapped a world championship on him?
No, his peak was a year before, but you could make the argument he was still pretty hot. I mean, a few months earlier, he won tag team titles with a 10-year-old, so.
Right.
Dream.
Somebody's dream.
Him winning that world title in 2018, maybe a hot take. And that's what we're talking about today because, boys, we're opening the door to the Hot Take Emporium.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. There ain't no reason besides the weather that I just emphasized all the hotness. I might have just slaughtered my grammar there. It's just so hot. Gets me all ornery, discombobulated. It is the Hot Take Emporium today, boys. The semi-annual.
Yeah, I got 5. I don't know how hot they are. We're gonna see, but we'll do our best here.
I've also got 5. I'm terrified to know how many Brandon has.
Well,
I'm also terrified.
I'm also terrified to know how many of them are related to Ring of Honor or TNA.
Okay, well, I'll clue you in on this. I'll spoil this for you. 0 have to do with Ring of Honor this time.
I mean, that's because they're not doing anything, so that checks out.
That's very
a hot take about a dead promotion.
Yeah, well.
The hot take would be that they're doing well right now, but.
Yeah, I mean, there's hot take and then there's like just nonsense.
Just bold-faced lying.
There's hot takes and bad takes. That would be a bad take.
And then right, just pure fabrications.
That's right. So how many do you got, Brandon?
I mean, if y'all got 5, I got 5. I just gotta make a little pick and choose. That's all.
How many do you actually have? Just for my.
It's not 30.
The first time when you had, I think, like 26.
Just 12.
Just 12. Just, he says. Okay.
I mean, relative to that astronomical figure that you had before, I think I did pretty okay. And I have no problem skimming this a bit,
We could do the lightning round for you at the end.
Yeah, our usual lightning round we can do. But we'll get into your big 5. Your 5 that would have the most discussion, let's say. So.
In the interest of fairness.
Yeah. So the top 5 that would have the most discussion, and then we can rapid fire your other 7. How's that? So while you ponder those, we'll let Pierce go first.
All right. Crack it open.
I've got a couple for AEW. I've got a couple WrestleMania specific, but we're going to start match specific with this one, boys. The greatest dream match we will never see is Kurt Angle versus Bret Hart.
Rematch.
The greatest, no, it's never been done. It can never happen.
Dream match.
Greatest dream match we will never see is Kurt Angle versus Bret Hart. I think the closest we will get to it, because it'd probably be a little more technical for that, would be Danielson, Zack Sabre Jr. But when we're talking just pure excellence in ring, and then adding just the story bits that some of the Sabre Jr. doesn't have that Danielson does. The greatest match we will never see would be Kurt Angle versus Bret Hart, preferably in about a 30-minute match.
I like how you got to add your time window to that as well. I feel like that's
not a hot take.
I don't know. I don't think that's quite so hot. I feel like that's it's true, which, kind of
Only one of
turns
So
the heat
here's,
down on it a bit.
here's why I think it's hot. From a pure technical match standpoint, yeah, it's not a hot take. But if we're bringing in everything, if we're putting this in a WWE ring, not TNA, not WCW,
I don't know why it would be
you
a
got it.
TNA ring, but anyways.
Kurt Angle,
Eh,
when it comes to years in the business, Kurt Angle was with TNA longer than he was with WWE.
Sure.
2006 was a very real possibility.
Bret Hart was never there, though, so.
Right,
No,
but I'm just
but he
saying.
could have been. Everyone
Yeah,
else in WCW was
because
there.
of Bill Goldberg. He's not there because of Bill Goldberg. Name
Some way, shape,
specifically
or form.
Bill Goldberg. I think when it comes to in the WWE ring, you have AJ Styles versus Shawn Michaels. You have maybe Kenny Omega versus AJ Styles. There's quite a few more. You got Sting versus The Undertaker. I don't think that Kurt Angle versus Bret Hart, maybe it gets talked about maybe on the technical side, but when it comes to the storytelling side, I don't think it's talked about as much. And I think they could add enough story to where it would get to that, 4 million stars in the Tokyo Dome.
Well, yeah, it would be Canada versus the U.S.
Yeah, American superhero versus Canadian
The story,
superhero.
there's your
There, eh?
story right there.
Ta-da!
I think this would be
The greatest
in my
international
eyes,
match of all time.
right. It would essentially be like better than Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle at Mania 21. I think it could get to that level.
I have no reason to argue that.
Yeah,
You could
there's
get that
no
story.
argument here. There's probably higher marquee matches that have never happened, but from a actual there's not really an argument there to be made that they would have a great match. And this, like I said, the story's right there. USA versus Canada. So.
Right.
Who are the greatest to ever do it? I mean, Kurt, arguably a bit more charismatic than Bret.
I don't think that's arguable.
But Bret...
That's not arguable at all. I don't think anyone has ever said that one of the highlights of Bret Hart's career is his charisma. Come on now.
But hey, they balance each other out very well.
Good promos. I liked his Girly magazine promo that apparently made Shawn Michaels cry.
He did have a way of getting under people's skin because he just did not give a single ounce of a fuck, particularly right before the Attitude Era there. And while I say it'd be a hot match, it'd be a hot feud of the century even, not exactly a hot take.
Yeah, no, fair enough. That's not a hot take. Sorry.
All right, Donnie, what's yours?
All right, I'm going to give my one for AEW because, as usual, that's all they get. I've said this before on the pod, but I'm going to reinforce it here. Jon Moxley should absolutely not lose the AEW championship at All In. He should retain in that match.
Do you double down on that notion even with what's being circulated in the news regarding Jon Moxley and AEW?
If you actually watch that footage of the alleged workplace assault in question, it's just a guy trying to chase a bag. And I say that from arguably my biased position and not liking a lot of work that comes from him or that company. But I've said since day one that the guy to take that title from him was always Darby Allin. And in this match that he has at All In that he's booked, he is not facing Darby Allin. So therefore, he shouldn't lose.
I don't know if that's really a hot take.
There's a lot of people that are telling you Jon Moxley needs to lose 6 months ago, never mind right now. So I would disagree on that front. This is one of the most hated world title reigns in the last 5 years, 10 years?
Right.
And I'm
That's
saying keep
accurate.
it going. And you're saying that's
I
not a
really,
hot take?
no, it's not a hot take because you're not wrong. It's Tony Khan. The way Tony Khan books is he likes to tell a story, beginning, middle, end, fully. If something throws a wrench in
Mhm.
that plans, even if that something is climbing Mount Everest, he's gonna do it. And so the only time he didn't get to fully tell a story was CM Punk versus MJF, which even then it was a complete story where it ended. And so realistically, I don't see it as that hot of a take. He could lose. I don't necessarily see him losing, but some people would be a hot take. For me personally, it is not.
Yeah, I think generally I would say that it is a hot take again because the receipts online of people saying that this John Moxley reign has been absolute dog shit and he should have lost like 7 defenses ago. You got to throw me a bone there, Brandon. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, especially, I mean, I would have pegged him to lose at All In. I would have contended you on that. But now I feel like, especially since I feel like with the way Tony books, relative to real life situations, he is something of an optics guy. And I feel like with the optics of the current situation, regardless of how you feel on that particular issue, I feel like it's almost safer to have Mox drop the belt at All In this situation. Not like, again, this reign shelf life hadn't expired like, 3 fortnights ago. Like, but I feel like now is really the time. And you can finagle all type of shit to, I guess retroactively deal with that shit on a later date or whatever as like the next pay-per-view comes up or like in the fall or whatever when you
All
have
out in
fewer people
Toronto.
watch the football or whatever. Yeah, perhaps. But I mean, I just don't see him taking this past All In. I don't see it.
Okay. Brandon, what's your first one? Remember, the key is to have discussion from it. So,
Well, since you put it like that, um, I think since we did bring it up, I don't think. Well, actually, we'll go with this one. Shinsuke Nakamura should have been released in the last round of releases that they had done, especially considering his match for King of the Ring qualification. I don't know. I just, when they keep trying to reinvent Shinsuke Nakamura, I love Shinsuke. I'm a humongous Shinsuke Nakamura mark, but it's past point where he can do anything of relevance. Carlito had more relevance than Shinsuke Nakamura. He had more staying power, and yet here we are, sans Carlito. Nakamura just floating around. He could go back to New Japan to help bolster the young lions that are over there. He could go to AEW, face some reinvention there. He could go a lot of different places. But he's floundering, and as much as I love the dude, maybe this is exclusive to me. I Maybe it's not for me. I feel like he should be gone now. I don't think he should be in WWE anymore.
Don't think this is a hot take.
um, so let me preface that it would be nice to have like obviously releases are a touchy subject, right? Like we don't necessarily want to see anybody lose their livelihood, but in the same vein, I don't understand a lot of the decisions when it comes to specific talent that they choose to keep or not to keep, and the reasons why. From a not renewing of a contract perspective, I would get it. I don't know when the last time Shinsuke Nakamura's contract was renewed. I'm not knowledgeable on that. I can't remember when that was or if it was even published. If it was renewed relatively recently, I do question why, given what he's done over the last, what, basically since he's been after he was a tag team with Rick Boogs, like
I probably
Won the U.S.
4
title
years.
last
his,
year. That was it.
and that was probably the worst U.S. title reign. Well, there was actually quite a few bad U.S. title reigns in fairness, but
Yeah.
that one was a really bad U.S. title reign. And then
Worst of the last 5 years.
He beat LA Knight, did nothing with it, lost to LA Knight, and then LA Knight just lost it immediately to LA Knight shouldn't have lost it the first time, says Shinsuke. Never mind, honestly, getting it back even, but I don't think he really adds a whole lot to the roster right now. Like his match quality has significantly deteriorated. The presentation of his character is still good, but then the bell rings and nobody cares.
Shinsuke is nothing. He's not nothing if not a showman, but he hasn't been the king of strong style since he turned heel at WrestleMania 34. That was really the death nail in his WWE career. It's not a hot take. I don't want to see anybody lose their livelihood, but Shinsuke doesn't really add anything to WWE besides essentially a prestige Japanese player.
The feud they had with Cody wasn't terrible, but again, that was the storytelling associated to it. Then again, the bell went off and those matches were not good. So
Right.
yeah.
I just feel like there's more money that you could be saving and spending on someone else who, actually matters. And I hate to say it that way, and it's not like Shinsuke entirely loses out either. Again, he can go anywhere he wants to.
Yeah, Shinsuke can get a job anywhere he wants if he wanted it.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
From all accounts, he's very happy with the work that he does, like the what he has to do for WWE. He's not looking to be a champion. He's not looking to be a champion again, like a number one guy. He's quite happy with the U.S. lifestyle he has now. Like
he wants to surf.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for a hot take, I'm going to say that's cold.
Round 1, not so good.
Yeah.
We're just idling the engine.
All right. Pierce,
Round 2.
Bryan Danielson should stay retired. He should only pop in for a promo to pop a crowd or for his WWE Hall of Fame induction as Daniel Bryan whenever that happens. But he has nothing to prove in the ring at all ever again. I don't know if he even wants to wrestle again or if he's even under contract with AEW for that matter. But I think Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, he's put enough miles on his body. He does not need to wrestle again, even if he wants to. Knowing him, he probably does want to, but he doesn't have a reason. He doesn't need to.
Has there been any sort of discussion that would lead that to not be the case? Like, I don't know where that one comes from.
I know that they're saying there's possibilities for All In. I mean, we're a month out. We haven't heard anything, but that rumor mill is always going to start. When All In was first announced, he was in the promo. He was at the stadium for it. So this is just me. I thought of it earlier. I don't know if he is coming back, but I don't think he has a reason to.
People staying retired is not a hot take.
But in professional wrestling, when retirement happens, how often is it really a retirement?
And in Danielson's case too, right? Like you said, Pierce. Like Danielson, I mean, as far as what he has to prove, I mean, he can have a couple more dream matches here and there. Not like he needs to be a world champion again. I mean, his match at All In with Swerve was easily a match of the year candidate that year. One of the greatest in AEW's history. That being said, right, I mean, there's nothing he's going to do that's going to eclipse that in AEW, and there's certainly not much more he can do in WWE that's going to eclipse WrestleMania 30.
Nope.
If and when he were to ever return there.
Nope.
So, right.
I know we weren't going to have too many super hot takes today, but I thought of this one earlier, and I just wanted to put it out in a space that's my feeling on it. So
0 for 2.
It was hotter than your initial take. I'll give you that. So I'll give you half a point for that one.
I'll take a 0.5 out of 2.
There you go.
All right, Donnie, what do you got?
Naomi needs to fail her Money in the Bank cash in for the love of God.
Damn enthusiasm.
I'm tired of the women
Seems like-
being an automatic lock. I'll say this every year until it happens. I don't care how hot of a take it is. I don't care how over the person is. It could have been anybody. It could be a young up and coming talent. It could be a veteran that's overdue for a championship, which would probably be Naomi's case. Someone needs to lose. And I'm going to keep saying it. It's got to be her.
You think she should lose solely for the sake of losing? Am I
Yes,
interpreting that right?
I do. Because
Oh,
I do not think the women's Money in the Bank contract should be a golden ticket to a championship.
well, and nobody's saying it is necessarily. I don't
Well,
think it's
historically, it
inferred as such.
100% is.
Well,
Technically,
yes,
And they bring it
statistically,
up
they
historically,
all,
it
constantly. They bring
yes.
it up constantly.
was in
Well,
the
and they
promo package.
constantly, I don't know. I feel like we had a similar argument earlier where we talked about how people would constantly bring up Sheamus not being the Intercontinental Champion when he was chasing that. And
Yeah,
then
and I
I'm
said he
saying,
shouldn't get it.
right, and he didn't get it yet. So I'm trying to think if that actually helps or hurts my point.
I think it hurts your point because my point is if we
I
keep bringing something up, it's likely to be true, but I'm saying it shouldn't happen.
It is a hot take. I think Naomi
it's
should get a run, but
I think she deserves
you're
a
not
run. I don't think it should be off the Money in the Bank briefcase.
you're not wrong, but with her heel character, her winning the title that way would fit perfectly.
Well, you could argue that for just about any heel, really. I mean, heels are best suited to be Money in the Bank holders, and you can contrive just
Except
about
for
any
Austin
narrative.
Theory.
Well, I mean,
I
he
mean,
was a heel, but
This is a good one.
hey, listen, I can contrive a lot of things, and I mean, his best shot was SummerSlam in Nashville, but I mean, obviously that wasn't going to happen.
Neither was The Miz when
So,
he got it off of Otis. Like
mm, mm. I will say this, pertinent to Naomi, I got a little heated from that one for the fact that I feel like she is doing excellent character work. I don't know how much time she has left in the ring based on things that she's been saying. She's kind of looking forward to letting this deal coast out and then just trying to do family life with Jimmy.
Big Jim.
Big Jim, jump on this back. She said it, not me. Um,
Her tweets are wild.
yeah, they're a little unhinged, which also in character, but
It works. It works.
yeah, someone's got to proceed with caution, but it ain't her. But I mean, uh, I think based off her, I think it'd be a good cap on her career personally if she were to win the women's championship in this current iteration. She's still very talented in the ring. Her character transfer has gone very well, I feel. Um, I don't think it would be a bad move at all if she were to win. I get what you're saying though. You don't want it to be this perceived golden ticket item, right? The women's Money in the Bank briefcase presented by Cash App. But I don't know if it's necessarily, I don't want to say valid, but I don't know if it's necessarily true that she should win it or she should lose it rather because nobody else has lost it before.
That's what makes it a hot take.
Yeah. That's just
okay.
All right, took 5 takes, but we got one.
My other one was
Hey.
because you didn't like it doesn't mean that the vast majority of the IWC doesn't think that Jon Moxley should win.
Yeah, but the vast majority of the IWC also say a bunch of wild shit constantly.
No. It is almost universally accepted that Jon Moxley should not be AEW champion.
I'm saying for us three, it took 5 to get a cohesive, yes, this is hot.
Nah, I think you're still just wrong. Now you're 0 for 3, and you haven't even given 3 opinions yet.
wow.
Brandon, go.
Deductions. We will take this over to AEW. And on the note of contracts, since we've been discussing contracts a little bit, Tony Storm's contract allegedly is coming up this fall in AEW. I don't know what's been said about it, if anything, if she's going to renew. I personally think that WWE should scoop her up, and at some point they should run back a sequel for her and Mariah May. I think she's done everything she can do in AEW. She's a four-time women's champion. She's running the risk of her act getting stale, and I think you could do some really great stuff with it. I mean, I've talked about it before. There's a lot of stuff that can be done in WWE with Tony Storm. If you want to evolve the role a little bit there, if you want to create the tie to Mariah May without being too stifling about it.
So
At some point,
that's not her name anymore. But anyways,
yeah, no, whatever happened to Mariah May?
who knows?
She went to the orphanage that El Generico runs.
Oh,
So I'm going to do something
shame.
that Pierce couldn't do. I'm going to say I agree with your take, but I still think it's a hot take. Right? I think if you
Right here, Donnie.
look
Right
across
here.
like people's opinions of Toni Storm and what she's done in AEW compared to what she's done in WWE and her positioning and her branding and stuff as an AEW talent, like I don't think there's a single person that I've seen that says she should go back to WWE. But I agree with you that she's done almost all that she can. When you win that many titles that quickly while also having essentially no significance in the primary promotion in the industry, that leads me to believe that you probably should go to that primary leader in the industry to prove your worth there, right? So when you do comparables here with other champions that have had long or multiple reigns, like Jon Moxley doesn't necessarily need to go back to WWE, right? Because he was in one of the biggest factions of all time in the Shield. He's had main roster title reigns. He's been involved in a lot of different things. Like he doesn't need to go back. Same thing with Chris Jericho. Same thing. CM Punk didn't really need to go back, but I'm glad he did. But Toni Storm hasn't done anything in WWE. Like literally, she's accomplished nothing. So it's nice that she's had a rejuvenation of her career to put her as one of the top women's performers in the world from her work in AEW. But yeah, she should probably go back to prove her legitimacy, prove that she was right. So yeah, I agree with you, even though most probably wouldn't.
I also agree. I haven't heard anything about her contract coming up. I also don't really look into that stuff too much. Honestly, I don't care. Wrestling's healthy. If you want to go to AEW, great. If you want to go to WWE, great. If you want to go to New Japan Pro Wrestling, great. Go where you want. Wrestling is very healthy right now.
Don't go to ROH.
That I wasn't going to say go there.
I had to bring it up.
Go through my heart.
I had to bring it up.
I'm not a masochist, Donnie. I don't want people to lose money in this healthy wrestling environment.
Yeah.
Made me lose my train of thought, you son of a bitch. Yeah, she's done everything. I'll kind of waylay my thing. There's one thing she hasn't. My next take, and it's probably not that hot of a take. Again, I didn't really get that many good ones this time. Mercedes versus Tony should be the main event of All In. That's the one thing that she hasn't done as essentially the greatest women's wrestler in AEW's small history. 4 world title reigns. She's got one of the greatest feuds of all time with the woman formerly known as Mariah May. The Hollywood ending should have been the closeout of Revolution, but it was not for some reason because we have to cope, I guess. But you have now one of the biggest stars that you've ever had in Toni Storm, and now you have one of the biggest stars that you brought in and have put to a level that she's never been at in Mercedes Moné. Let them close out the show. But Brandon, I agree with you, is a hot take, but I do agree with you.
So on your take, so if Mariah May and Toni Storm can't close out Revolution, then why should, I guess, and my question in my head is why should Mercedes and Toni close out? The reasons you put forth are valid and they're good. I mean, you have arguably two of the most high-profile female talents in the industry today. That being said, they're also running against, especially with, like I mentioned before, like outside events figuring in technically internal events, but you have
They got to
Moxley and
compete
Hangman.
against Bill Goldberg.
How do you not have Adam Page main events the event in Texas? Like the guy's
Well, he's from Virginia.
character, I understand he's from
He's a
Virginia, but like
cowboy.
his entire presentation screams that area of the country.
He's a cowboy, a
Women
millennial
are
cowboy.
way overdue a main event, and this is the biggest match in the women's division that AEW may ever put on. You never know. But for now, it's the biggest match they're able to put on. You got Mercedes, I think 5 belts now again, and you got the timeless Tony Storm.
I think it's a bad idea. I think ending that pay-per-view with either like with the thought of Mercedes Moné closing out a pay-per-view of that magnitude with another championship is awful. Because
closed out WrestleMania though.
I don't really count.
Sounds like something Tony
would
do.
That was a night one thing.
Still WrestleMania.
No, and she didn't even win that one. No, Hangman and Moxley need to be the main event. Again, like what you're gonna have Darby Allin skydive into the stadium and it not be the main event? Like, come on now.
So, are we saying this is a hot take?
Yeah, it's your hottest of the three. I absolutely do not think that match should main event. Like,
I think it should.
I can't see how it's got more weight than say Mox and Hangman, or even honestly, just based on performance potential alone, Okada and Omega.
Yeah, I would argue that is more capable of being a main event because that's had the longest build of any of these matches. Has significant historical relevance.
Definitely. Though, right, and the thing about Mercedes.
Sorry, it's never happened in the United States, correct?
No.
Yeah.
No,
so like that match of the three, like if you're thinking of like significance, that match should be the main event. That's a good point.
Well, and with Ultimo Monet too, like she's got 4 or 5 belts or whatever the fuck, but like, really, how many of those are worth anything? Like the TBS championship, to be sure, but I don't see or hear that ever really being mentioned at all, or like it's defended very sparsely. The New Japan Strong Women's
Championship. It's supposed to be a mid-card title. It's supposed to be the TBS championship is supposed to be a mid-card championship. For her to hold it this long as it is arguably a joke. Because
that's what I'm saying. You hardly think of it.
That's not the purpose of that title. You go on with the other ones.
No, but you think of the New Japan Strong Women's Championship, which is effectively in and of itself a developmental
champion.
Huh? Not anymore. No, you're right. Yeah, she lost that to Azumi, I believe, right? But I think that's right. But no, she's got the Rev Pro Women's Championship. She's got the Queen of Southside, which I believe was originally.
Did she have the House of Glory Women's Championship?
Yeah, she just won that. Oh well, yeah. Well,
and then she just recently won an independent. She showed up at a random independent, which I think is pretty cool, and just came out for a star of her magnitude to come out to a small independent and then work it, win the title. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's your hottest take so far. I just don't want to see it. That's where I'm
completely fair. Donnie, what do you got?
It was wrong to bring back Ron Killings.
Oh, well, this will be interesting.
Let's
hear this one.
The entire reason that he got the fanfare that he did was because he brought a unique character that resonated with the fans. Every time R-Truth came to the ring, the crowd would pop. Kids would get excited. Adults would get excited because it's just a whole bunch of goofy, fun, lighthearted shit that he does.
What's up?
And the seemingly the way that they're presenting Ron Killings to be at this time is not that character and will not get over with the crowd for any sort of extended period of time. And then 6 months from now, we talked about this when he came back, and I alluded to it, but I'm going to double down on this. Nobody's going to give a shit about an edgy, non-comedic Ron Killings 6 months from now.
Yeah, that's a hot take. I think it's good that they brought him back due to fan outcry.
That's
like
not what
that.
I'm arguing. I never said it was wrong to bring him back.
Nope. I'm not disagreeing with that. I dislike that fans are mad that they think they didn't get worked. I brought that up. It's like, who fucking cares if we didn't get worked? If this is a shoot thing that happened and our voices made something happen, that's a fucking good thing because the company is listening to us.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree that if it is not played right, because number one, they're still calling him R-Truth, Ron Killings, they're going back and forth. They have to pick a lane. They cannot say it's R-Truth versus John Cena Friday. They need to make it a point that it's Ron Killings, not R-Truth. They are different people. Ron Killings himself said that. He loves R-Truth, but it's time for Ron Killings to take the wheel. They need to double down. They need to show that it's a different character, and they need to move forward as Ron Killings. Otherwise, people will lose interest.
And it's got heat, but I will actually agree with you on this one too, Don. I not in the sense that it's a mistake to bring Ron Killings back, because effectively this is Ron now going out on his terms. So he wanted to be serious for his last run. He wanted to show people he can do that. And right, funny makes money. That's where you got guys like Santino Marella and Truth in particular, who've been around forever and maintained relevance by being what they are, right? Killings, that also being said, has had a reputation in the past of working well as a serious character. He's won championships as a result of that. Granted, this was, 20 years ago.
15, 20
Plus,
years
at this
ago,
point,
yeah.
NWA World Champ. It's not that's one of the most prestigious titles still ever.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider the broad history of it, I guess my question becomes like, R-Truth, Ron Killings' character currently is closely linked to John Cena, and particularly his kind of a tacit betrayal of R-Truth, quote unquote, going against his hero role, right? John Cena going against his hero role brought this out of R-Truth, now Ron Killings. So without John Cena, now say John Cena goes to December and he's gone, then what happens to Killings? What's his motivation? What prompts him to continue with this new attitude that we're finding out of him? Does he continue to evolve? I mean,
that's a great question.
We've got time. That's the thing too, and that's why I try and give it benefit of doubt, is the fact that we have at least a good 6 months, and there's a lot that can happen in 6 months. I mean, obviously his beef currently is with John Cena, and that needs to resolve. Mm-hmm. That being said, if he does, and that's a question too. If he does not win the WWE Championship and remove this corruption from John Cena, as Punk kind of put it, then what does he do? What's his motivation to continue? And how does he continue to evolve? And there have been enough cases where I'm just like, trust the process. I put my hands up to it and it takes form, and I see it. I'm like, oh yeah, that works. I'll buy tickets for that. But yeah, there are a lot of very interesting questions as to, was this a good time to bring Ron Killings back and especially under these auspices of a very limited time we're going to get John Cena, who was the only reason that Ron Killings is back to begin with. So.
Mm-hmm. It's a bit long-winded, but it was good insight.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It's the bloody.
Yeah. Okay. Brandon,
is that first or sixth? Did you bring your fucking Vegas waiter for that, or
the ratio was a little bit? The ratio is a little bit skewed.
You got that guy being like, "Oh, he needs another 4."
Didn't have enough zing zang for this one, so but it went down smooth. So, anyways, not point of discussion here.
All right, Brandon. What do you got for your next one?
Maybe I blame this on the bloody too. WrestleMania, I think, should include Friday in addition to Saturday and Sunday.
Oh,
and
good God.
No.
and
all right. We're heating
hold
up.
on. There's a part two. There's a part two.
Okay.
Second part to this, due to partnerships and acquisitions, they should think to, because it benefits everybody, rising tides with all ships, they should think to include TNA and AAA more in this particular event because it is, right, WrestleMania is a broader scale event. It's meant to include celebrities and all that stuff. I feel with the current climate of political wrestling and political wrestling, for fuck's sake,
professional wrestling, people to have a beer.
Put TNA and AAA in there too.
Oh,
that's what I say.
God. All right. Kudos to you. You've got the hottest take so far.
Hell, maybe even Noah.
Why the fuck do we need WrestleMania to be 3 fucking nights?
2 nights is perfect.
Insane. So kudos
2
to
nights
you.
is good.
But holy shit.
1 night, they do 7 hours. You get super tired. I haven't been to a 1-night WrestleMania. I don't want to fucking do it because it sounds like it would suck.
I mean, it sounds like an AEW pay-per-view, in all honesty.
Sounds like
no one's saying they got to go 7 hours a pop. You just
That's what they did, though.
Well, doesn't mean they should. Doesn't mean they got to.
On a 3-nighter, they wouldn't be 7 hours.
No, they could divvy that.
That's insane. I've never heard of anybody saying WrestleMania shouldn't be 2 nights. It should be 3. I've never heard that. Kudos to you.
We're just getting used to
the Hall of Fame and SmackDown to Thursday. What day are you gonna have? Are you still gonna do Saturday Takeover?
Well, the Hall of Fame should be its own event. All right. Now we're getting into a whole bunch of things here. The Hall of Fame should be on its own day, like it used to fucking be. It shouldn't be, fucking coattail to the end of SmackDown, especially when it's out on the West Coast, right?
Or maybe at midnight at the Fontainebleau, like they did this year.
That's absurd, right? No, the Hall of Fame should just be its own night. But regardless, 3 nights, no. 2 nights is honestly too many in some cases. I don't necessarily think that SummerSlam should be 2 nights, but here we go.
SummerSlam should not. I would say there are 2 pay-per-views that should be. WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble. I think those are the only.
That's fair.
I agree. And none should be 3.
Maybe Survivor Series if you do 1 night specific to War Games and 1 night specific to
I don't even have this on the list. War Games is gotta fucking go. War Games is overdone. Fuck War Games. Get it out of there. Give me brand supremacy again, for fuck's sakes.
I mean, SummerSlam probably shouldn't. I mean, next year I plan on going to both nights of SummerSlam in Minneapolis because I can drive there, so that'll be nice.
Oh yeah,
but
yep.
Which Donnie, you and Marta should maybe think about flying out for that. But
we're in full wedding saving mode. We're having to make decisions. So we're supposed to go out to Calgary for a wedding, and then we're talking about staying extended for the wedding, and we've decided it's more responsible to budget for our wedding rather than tag on other vacations. So we're probably going to be limiting that stuff in the short term. Doesn't mean we're not going to go to anything, but we got to really pick and choose our battles. So I certainly can't commit this second.
Well, you got a year plus, so just wanted to put the worm in your ear.
That's fair.
Hot take on the verge of bad take, Brandon. No disrespect.
That's a very bad take.
There's a lot.
It's a very hot take and a very bad take. So
I'm just saying, there's a lot they got. There's a lot that they can include. That's all. And I feel
already kind of include too much sometimes.
All right, Pierce, it's your turn.
I know. I'm
going to stick with the WrestleMania theme. WrestleMania going back to Las Vegas is not a bad thing. Las Vegas was a great host city. I think it's a good thing. I dislike what they did to New Orleans. They shafted them. That is not cool. That's some shitty business practices. However, with that, I enjoyed Vegas. I kind of plan on going back because I got a buddy of mine who's never been to WrestleMania. Shout out to Brett. He wants to come with next year. That being said, I'm expecting it to be quite a bit more expensive this time around.
You think it's going to be more expensive this time? I actually think it's going to be cheaper this time. I do not think that the 2-day passes are going to be as expensive as they were this year.
Here's my reasoning. They keep saying this record profits from this year, which is why they're going back to back. Double or nothing, if you would. They can't say that, apparently.
Hey.
They're going to try and milk it for as much as they can. I mean, I still think regardless, I'll probably do 5 nights separately and then upgrade as we go because that worked out really, really good for us. And we got fucking mint seats for both nights.
For cheaper than what the 2-day passes in the 400s would have been. I don't think those tickets are going to be nearly as expensive. I would expect them to probably be in the 300 USD range for the nosebleeds. I think they really screwed up on pricing there, and having so many available for so long kind of proved that. I think the photo ops are probably around the pricing you would expect them to be. I don't really see much room to go up on that. I have no idea how some of their side events turned out, like those club nights, like if people actually showed up to them or not.
They looked like a lot of fun. From the videos,
sure they were.
They looked like a crazy amount of fun.
Yeah,
and I kind of want to go to one next year if they do it, just so I can go get shitty drunk in the Fontainebleau, because that is it. Brandon and I were there for a couple hours. That is quite the casino.
Yeah, it's a nice casino. It's one of the nice. It's the newest one in the Strip, and it's certainly nice. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it being in Vegas. Like when you understand what Vegas is, having WrestleMania there makes sense. Like there's so much that you can do in that space. There's so many opportunities to really promote your brand in that space. From a business perspective, it makes a lot of sense to be there. Logistically, I've been to LA. That one made no sense. Now, it'll probably be better if they decide to ever go back to LA, because now you've got the Intuit Dome right near SoFi Stadium, whereas before they had to go to Crypto Arena halfway across the city, which was bullshit. So I think a future visit to LA would be a lot more consolidated, which would be good. But Philly's setup was also like relatively centralized, but there's nothing around there to do, right? You had to go pretty far out of the way. Like getting back from that stadium in the evening fucking sucked. It was a bitch. Right? Whereas in Vegas, you just walk
everywhere.
It's like a 20-minute walk, and you got restaurants, you got a place to stay. Like we booked our hotels for next year pretty close by, but Vegas logistically makes a lot of sense still, and I understand it prices some people out, and that's unfortunate, but like better luck next time, I guess. Like WWE's been overdue, in all honesty, to increase the prices on WrestleMania, knowing that it's the number one event of the year. I don't think they should have gone as far as they did last year, but they were overdue for a price increase on that event, and yeah, Vegas is a good way to do it. Sorry, that was long-winded by me.
No, but I mean, you brought up a lot of valid points, though. I mean, I have my own disagreements, just me being working class boy, and the fact that I think of like being outpriced on pro wrestling, which is kind of a layman's hobby or a layman's how shall you say? But I mean, right, like the sport, shall we say, is evolving, and especially given TKO kind of being their umbrella company, when you consider how UFC has been run, and UFC's run a lot of shit through Vegas. And I mean, in any, like you're right, like in any company, your aspiration is to make as much money as you can. And Vegas is prime setting for that. And I'm sure there was reason they did Atlantic City 2 years in a row for WrestleMania back in its, what was it?
That was due to Vince's friendship with the man who may or may not be the current president of the United States.
But when you also consider the fact that Atlantic City is also, I mean, it's the Vegas of the East Coast, right?
Yeah, but they didn't do much else besides just the one night of WrestleMania at that time. Now they do WWE World, they have NXT, they have all these pop-ups that they're doing with people doing pictures all around the city. Like you wanted to go see, who was it? At the Luxor, the first day that I was there.
Ludwig Kaiser?
Ludwig Kaiser, yeah.
He was just there doing pictures. We didn't have time to go see him, but we could have,
Has anyone seen Ludwig Kaiser since that?
Don't think so, no.
No.
Okay.
Part of me wish I would have gotten that picture now.
Charlotte's DMs, apparently.
Yeah. Last place he was
that
seen
whole
was that
fiasco.
Luxor photo shoot.
And Charlotte.
Yes. I'll go
So
with
is that a
Jason.
hot take?
Yeah, I think it's okay. From a business perspective, it makes sense though. So people forget that when they get mad on the internet about their wrestling promotion. But
That
first and
they're a
foremost,
big.
they're a publicly traded company, and as a result, need to do things that publicly traded companies are supposed to do, which is make money.
Mm.
All right, this is my second last one, and it's adjacent to who we just talked about. I think the next world heavyweight champion should be Ilya Dragunov.
Oh,
Ooh.
well, that's interesting.
I don't think it should be Seth Rollins. I don't think it should be Sami Zayn. I think it should be Ilya Dragunov.
You know what? Yeet Part 2?
No, I definitely don't want that. Once was fine. We don't need to overdo it that quickly. Yeah, Ilya
If at all.
and Gunther is a money match that people who watched their other matches know is a money match. People who haven't watched their matches are in for a goddamn treat because that's still, to the recent memory of me watching professional wrestling, is the best. Their last match in NXT was the best televised match that I haven't attended that I've ever seen in my life. Those
Johnny,
two.
That's fair.
can you indulge me for one moment for these matches?
Sure.
Big meaty man slapping me.
I don't really think Ilya is a big meaty man.
But he
He's
does
hardly
slap
meaty.
me.
He does slap me.
He's
but,
very
like,
lean.
He's very lean.
He's very lean.
Nevertheless, like, that's a money match just waiting to happen, and we thought we may have been getting little bits of seeds last year around King of the Ring time. He's supposed to be on his way back sometime, ideally around September. Give me that match. Give me an Ilya title reign, even if it's short. I don't think Gunther's title reign should be all that long. Quite frankly, he doesn't need another long title reign. I don't want to see Seth win right now. I don't want to see Sammy win right now. I want to see Ilya Dragunov.
It's a hot take. I agree with it. I'd like an Ilya reign. Ilya fucking rules. If you've never seen the Mad Dragon be the Mad Dragon, go watch those Gunther matches when Gunther was maybe known as Walter. They're some of the greatest, just pure striking, just finesse, meat slapping matches you'll ever see. I know we give Uncle Davey a lot of shit, but there's a reason that one of them is 5 and the other one is 5.25 because they are that damn good.
Yeah, they have undeniable chemistry. That's for sure.
There's a reason that Ilya was chosen to be the first person to defeat Gunther, and having him end a reign for the world title would just continue to show that Ilya still has his number. And maybe it would help Gunther get a change of character. Maybe we finally start to see a babyface Gunther. I think that should be the route.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but Ilya never technically lost the NXT UK champion, or rather, was it the NXT? He lost the NXT championship, but when you consider the one he won from Gunther, which was the NXT UK championship, he never actually lost that. I don't believe, right? I guess I might be just going off on a little bit of a
he
tangent.
was injured, and then Tyler.
He got
Bate
injured. He had to surrender it.
Yeah, Tyler
Yeah.
Bate was the one who lost to Braun Breaker in the unifying match.
hmm Who did Ilya lose the NXT championship to? Was it Mello?
Trick.
Yeah, it was Trick Williams.
Oh, it's Trick? Oh,
Whoop that.
current TNA World Champion Trick.
Whoop that, comma Trick. Trick, comma whoop that.
Yeah, and then Trick lost it to Ethan Page shortly thereafter.
Then went back
Yeah,
and lost it to Da Ruler.
yeah, and that's where we're at now.
Yes, I recall.
I'm
So
gonna
I like it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go into that one just a little bit later too, with my last one. So go ahead, Brandon.
Okay. I mean, with all things considered, the unfortunate circumstances that recently occurred on Raw, I mean, obviously might factor in this a little bit too. But I feel like with Dom and Liv, I feel like if they're not near done with the usefulness of the relationship role, I feel like it's just about done. Me personally, I feel like Dom would be start to be better serviced outside of like relationship storylines, considering those have been kind of the focus of him for the last year and a half or maybe more. I'm trying to remember how long he was with Rhea, and I know he's been with Liv since SummerSlam of last
Years.
year.
It's 2 years. 2 years with Rhea, a little under 2 years.
But
3
I
years
feel like
total storylines, though.
for the sake of Dom, I feel like relationship storylines just need to be done, and they should try to think about building him not so much on his own because he's still got Judgment Day, but like, who is this guy besides the roster, the locker room bicycle? You know what I mean?
I think it works for him
Maybe
though. So I could see that argument for Rhea and Dominic because Rhea wasn't necessarily elevating Dominic in a lot of their dialogue and their storylines and whatnot, just kind of interfering and whatnot. But I think Liv Morgan actually brought out a lot in Dominic and presented him as an equal. And I don't think that did him or her, quite frankly, a disservice in that. The Liv Morgan Revenge Tour, which, the peak of that was winning the women's title and taking Dominic from Rhea, was the biggest her character has ever been in her time in WWE. And I don't think that's particularly close. It was far bigger than her first championship win by beating Ronda Rousey. And it certainly outweighed anything she did with the Riot Squad significantly. And I don't really think she lost any momentum. Did that feud with Rhea go on a little bit too long? Probably. But
Yes.
I don't think that was a bad thing to the dynamic that she had with Dominic. And Dominic is also at the highest point that he's been in his career as Intercontinental Champion, with the reactions that he still gets each and every week on television, whether it's cheers or boos. It depends on where they go, but I don't think that either of them have been done a disservice. And I do think, unfortunately, we don't know exactly what Liv's health status is. We hope she gets better soon. If it's, we hope it's not a long-term injury, and if it happens to be, we hope she gets better soon. But there are still legs.
Shoulder, so
well, yeah,
usually
dislocated
that's
shoulders
pretty
could be
quick
2 weeks to 4 months, right? It's very fussy depending on what the ligament damage is or the socket damage is. But there are still legs there with the turning inevitably, which kind of gets drawn out sometimes of Finn Balor and now Roxanne Perez. There's still legs there, I think. So I think they should be able to keep going as long as there's relevant storyline for them, and I think there still is.
I agree. There's a lot of legs there. You got the Roxanne edge now. You got Finn's turn, and Dom being essentially just the new Latino Heat in a sense, like the reborn Latino Heat. It's a good character for him, and there's a reason he got probably the biggest reaction of WrestleMania weekend this year. It's because of his character work and this partnership with Liv Morgan. It has done a huge service to both characters. Liv is turned in from, a superstar to a megastar, damn near this, and Dom is just going to keep climbing, and he will be world champion one. And a big part of that is because of his character work that he started with Liv. So the story's got legs. They don't need to separate them now.
I mean, if it happens that Liv's injury is a bit longer term, story's right there for Roxanne to do the exact same thing that Liv did to Rhea.
That she did.
Yeah, it's right there. So
yeah, I agree with that.
All right, Pierce, what's your last one?
All right.
Final round.
Final one. Mania should be no later than April 12th. I enjoyed having the late Mania because it was like my birthday weekend, it was a lot of fun, but they just squeeze everything else after that. Backlash was really quick after that. They could have built Randy Cena a lot longer than they did. Then you had Saturday Night's Main Event 2 weeks after that, so they had to quickly add those stories in. And then they had Money in the Bank. It squeezes everything after that really tight. And they just need, if they bring it back a week, then they can build those stories just a little bit longer and maybe help with pacing.
Well, Money in the Bank's in August next year, so now you have nothing to worry about.
Right. I feel like they're taking this as kind of a pilot year to see like, well, how is this going to look? And then they're just kind of like, well, we can see this sucks, right? Because there's a lot like to follow. But I feel like next year will hopefully and probably be a lot better.
I'm going to be
as
devil's
far as the pacing
advocate.
goes.
The earlier that WrestleMania is, the less likely it's going to be on the East Coast because the weather fucking sucks.
That was shit.
Weather in Philly fucking
Saturday
sucked on
was
that
rough. Oh my
Saturday.
God.
It was awful. And quite frankly, I would never go to a WrestleMania in an outdoor venue on the East Coast again if the weather's going to be remotely close to what that was. So
Well, and
I
never
think a later WrestleMania makes a lot of sense to not have such a shitty event like Night 1 was in Philadelphia.
and never mind the East Coast, not exclusive to that, but include the Midwest in that also. Like say, Minneapolis or Chicago ever has viability. Indianapolis for sure is on the docket, but if anywhere in the Midwest had any sort of viability to get a WrestleMania, you're much better off having the odds in your favor with a later WrestleMania versus an earlier. Because you guys, we all know like how early April can be around here. Like it's schizophrenic. Like
April's
you
still
get
cold.
sunshine. Yeah, you can get snow. We've gotten inches of snow in April.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I got my big
all
brain
that
conspiracy theory that most of my friends know about is the actual world has shifted 1 month as far as the seasons go. It's not April showers bring May flowers anymore. It's May showers bring June flowers. I
fair
think there's
enough.
still
Yeah,
there's
well,
more volatility in those early months, and pushing Mania
oh,
back risks.
you believe in the tilt?
Yeah, I mean, Canadian Thanksgiving is early mid October. I never got to wear shorts as a kid. There'd be snow on the ground half the time, but now I see it's 30
Yeah.
Celsius, and I'm wearing shorts on Canadian Thanksgiving. So I think an
There's
earlier
no snow on
Mania.
Christmas no more.
Yeah, I think exactly. There's no snow on Christmas either, right? I think an
Makes me
earlier
sad, man.
Mania risks a lot worse weather manias, and that is very bad.
Especially if you have a lot of events that you're trying to stage around Mania as well. And if people like to be outdoors and do things, and if like you have a more compact, shall we say, city similar to Vegas is, where you can just kind of walk everywhere, or it's favorable to walk places, you're gonna want to stage Mania at a later date, so you have greater chance of having better weather. Like it's common sense, really.
Yeah.
But
All right, Donnie, what do you got?
So I talked briefly about how Seth Rollins shouldn't be the next world heavyweight champion. I don't think he should be the next WWE champion either. I also think he should fail his Money in the Bank cash in. But looping into what my actual last hot take is, John Cena should lose the WWE championship eventually before the end of his reign. And I don't think it should be to Cody Rhodes. I don't think it should be to CM Punk. I don't think it should be to any established person already that's been on the top of the card for a significant amount of time. I think he needs to lose to a face Braun Breaker.
oh,
I do not understand with how hot Braun Breaker has been to put him under Seth Rollins in this faction. I think putting him with Paul Heyman as a mouthpiece does make sense because he might not have the most developed mic work at this point in his career, but he does not need Seth Rollins to be a lackey for. He is too good, too popular. It didn't make any sense to me to have these now 4 guys together. I just don't think the dynamic particularly works. I think Braun Breaker should screw Seth Rollins for a cash-in, destroy Seth Rollins, and beat John Cena all this year.
I find that hard to disagree with.
I'm all
It's
for
a hot
it.
take. I agree. Hell yeah.
Hot take. Let's do it.
Well, and it's funny too because I think back to what was it, our second or third episode that we did when we talked about John Cena particularly, and when he announced his farewell tour, right? And we talked about, well, who are some of these individuals who could, you know, possibly be in line to face John Cena? And I mean, I think we mentioned that Braun Breaker was ideally the guy to gain the most from, to gain the most from
last match,
the big John Cena rub, right?
Yeah, winning the title from him if he was champion. Yeah, I can't remember. I think all of us said one of those two combinations.
Yeah, it was pretty It was pretty commonly held, though.
Yeah, before the Netflix era came to be, there was always a lot of hype associated to him being, oh, Netflix loves this guy. He's going to be the number one guy. And he gets big pops. He has hugely viral moments. We saw what he did to Speed in the Rumble. We're seeing these like insane spears that he does almost on a weekly basis now. And now you shoved him under Seth Rollins. Like, I don't get it.
Well, I mean, you look at Batista too. I think of Batista personally, right? Like Batista, he has all the tools to be the next big thing, but there's just something that he's missing. So you pair him with Triple H and Ric Flair, and then you give him some season, you give him some time, some people to build, some time for people to build some empathy towards him, right? And his role within the group. And then eventually he blows up and he becomes a megastar. I think that's what they do with Braun in this situation.
That first promo that Braun and Paul Heyman had backstage the night that faction debuted was such a weird promo. And I think about that.
It was.
I think about that promo because it didn't sound like the kind of promo where it was encouraging him to stay with the faction, so to speak. It almost seemed like it was like, this is the promo that's going to make him turn on Seth Rollins within 2 weeks. And obviously that hasn't happened, but like...
It hasn't happened yet.
Braun's a big enough player that he doesn't need to be under Seth's wings for very long. And I think he should be the guy to beat John Cena. I don't think Cody Rhodes needs to beat John Cena. I don't think Roman Reigns. I don't think CM Punk. I don't think any of these top roster, high merch selling guys should be the guy to beat John Cena. I would hope they learned that from the Undertaker's streak, that Brock Lesnar wasn't the guy that needed to do that. But
I might have brought that up on an earlier Hot Takes episode.
Yeah, like he wasn't the right, like, you got to think of what's going to make the industry better as a result of the story that you're telling. You're now telling a story, whether people like the story of John Cena right now or not. He has the most title reigns of all time, and he is leaving after this year. So you need to make a big moment for whoever it is to beat him, so he is no longer champion. And whether that leads to a face turn again or what have you, we don't know. But it should be Braun Breaker.
Yeah. Yeah, as it happens too, Seth did mention that his idea is to preserve the future of professional wrestling, to usher it in. And he did say he wanted to shake the hand of the guy, John Cena, wanted to shake the hand of the guy who would ultimately win 18. That was his hope upon whoever would be able to defeat him, if anybody, right? So Braun, I feel like, is the ideal candidate in that scenario.
Did you have anything to add there? Or?
No. I agree. Hot take, but good one.
All right. Brandon, your last one.
All righty. On the note of John Cena's farewell tour, Braun, obviously, I agree with you, should have a pivotal role in that. There's one other person, though, who I feel should receive due feature. Austin Theory. Because the last...
Let him go. Let him go. Let him go.
Oh, did you tell me stop?
No. He said stop. Yeah, you can keep going. You can keep going.
Did I trip something? I mean, hey, well, I mean, in an ideal sense, right? They've been kind of teasing online and in various video packages that Theory is on the brink of a major face turn. Grayson Waller has said himself that Theory kind of envisions himself as the next John Cena, as within his role to the company, role in public relations, all that stuff. That's what Austin Theory wants to be. And I feel like that would make the most sense, poetic sense, for it to culminate within this year with John Cena specifically. Doesn't even have to win the WWE Championship. Doesn't even have to get. My thing is like there just has to be some acknowledgement of Theory's work towards the ideal that John Cena had set for him compared to what John Cena is now. Kind of similar to what it did with Ron Truth, for Christ's sake, R-Truth, Ron Killings, and for Theory to react to that and to develop based on that. I think that it would be the ideal catalyst to an effective Austin Theory face turn whenever they fucking decide to do that. They're arguing backstage again for like the umpteenth time backstage at Raw.
Seemingly never, but yes.
Right. Ideally, I would think it'd be best if they at least include Austin Theory in the farewell tour for the fact that the last significant thing in Austin Theory's singles career was his match with John Cena and what that meant to him personally and professionally. I feel like they should, in this context, give it a follow-up. And it should contribute to Austin Theory becoming a good face in the company, which many people within the company and outside seem to think would be a good role for him. So there's my take.
No. Not going to happen.
Of course.
It's just not going to happen. You can't put somebody that's way down here, way at the low end of the totem pole, and immediately thrust them into a WWE championship thing. They did it with...
Okay, hold on. Hold on. He didn't say WWE championship.
Right.
And,
I didn't say it was necessary.
And did they not just do the same thing with R-Truth?
Bingo. Just about to say.
Ron Killings was at least over when they did this with Ron Killings. Austin Theory is not over.
How would you define over as far as R-Truth goes, though? Because, I mean, it's like Santino Marella, right? Like, he comes out and it's just like, oh, yeah. I mean, his character...
It's happy to be there, pops.
Huge pops? Right. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a huge pop. I mean, it's an R-Truth kind of pop.
Bigger pops than Austin Theory has ever gotten in his career, which is not saying...
Sure.
You're not wrong. I actually don't mind this take. I don't mind this take. You're right that the most recent memory of Austin Theory's career was not his tag title win with Grayson Waller or anything, quite frankly, he's done with Grayson Waller. It's getting buried by John Cena and the abysmal match that was at WrestleMania 39. That match fucking sucked. But there's a way of making that kind of come full circle if Cena's still a heel and Theory's a face. Even if it's just a 1 weeker on Raw, Theory gets buried again or whatever, but kind of gives some sympathy towards him as a potential face character. I could see it work, honestly. It wouldn't get me to tune in my television necessarily, but like the framework is there, I would say.
I don't see it.
I just feel like in my mind it does what the final John Cena reign should do, the final John Cena run, I should say. It plants good seeds in good soil for the future. That's my take on it. And Austin Theory has a close tie to John Cena.
We've got zero of so far from this John Cena run. He's only working with veterans.
Thus far, yeah, but he's still got about 6 months to
go. Greatest hits tour part of his retirement.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. It's not a priority for me, Brandon, but I could see it work. And they really need to just fucking clean up this. Triple H has this awful habit of dragging out mid-card feuds way longer than they need to be. Like, mid-card feuds do not need to be 6+ months. Like, it's absurd. You could say that with all the times the Judgment Day's been, like, hanging around. You can say that with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller here. Like, I'm sure there's other situations where, like, the U.S. title, women's U.S. title for the first 3 months of his existence was one feud. Like, mid-cards, Yeah, the New Day is another one. Like mid-card stuff doesn't need to take extended periods of time. And
Right.
that needs to be cleaned up before any consideration could be made with him being involved with John Cena, but it could work. But they need to work on theory fast before they run out of time, if that was to be the case.
Right. That's why it's a hot take, right?
Why it's a
You
brand specifically.
could rapid fire your rest of them now.
Oh, me?
Yes, you're the only one who has extras.
Okay. I guess I was kind of figuring how I was going to flesh these ones out, but Roman's contract should have more dates in concurrence with TKO's opinion on that.
I
Jey
agree.
Uso does not need the World Heavyweight Championship anymore.
I agree.
Similar to what we talked about, Seth Rollins had one of the worst Money in the Bank wins. Not the worst. I came around, but at podiums, at places.
Okay.
I don't know the places, but better.
Gunther's Intercontinental Championship run is better so far than both of his Heavyweight Championship runs, or possibly better than any championship run in the main event scene he'll ever have, potentially. Rikishi doesn't care about Jimmy. Let's see. If Mr. Iguana can be on the main roster, which it sounds like he might be, so should TNA. I don't think they need to be relegated solely to NXT. I think you can start to feature TNA on the main roster now, for Christ's sake.
I can't believe
Not
I
just
didn't have
Joe
a
Hendrick.
Mr. Iguana take, but
Well, I mean, I think we can all agree on Mr. Iguana, right? Not so much heat in that just yet, but lastly but not leastly, and I feel like it's important to note, TNA needs to sign Big Trouble Ben Bishop. There's your shout, Ben.
I have zero opinion on that. I don't.
Friend of the show.
Sure.
Ben,
Great.
Big man. 6'12". Big trouble.
Okay.
Love the work that he's been doing and the awareness he's been spreading for Men's Mental Health Month. That one touches on me personally. That's a hot button item for me. So, and also he's 6'12", and you can't teach that. The real one said that when they had a tag team match not that long ago. So,
6'12",
yeah.
Donnie.
He's 6'12", and he does a lot of fun. Like Matt Cardona is looking for a partner. Ben Bishop's gig is fucking social media shit. So, and he's fucking huge. So how do you not book that? Ben Bishop deserves an opportunity.
Okay.
Maybe not. Maybe depending on who you are, that's a hot take. But shout out to Ben Bishop if you're listening there, big guy. I'll tag you. Don't worry.
Next week, we are giving Night of Champions predictions.
Oh yeah.
That is what's on the card. We also have Grand Slam Mexico results. We'll discuss that if there's something relevant to talk about.
Will it be better than Worlds Collide? That's what I want to know. Probably not, but we'll see.
There's not going to be a Mr. Iguana, so I would say the answer is obviously no. Don't they have another one of those stupid cash matches?
Cash?
I don't know.
Like where the winner gets like $100,000 or some shit.
Oh, I don't know. I
think I saw something. Let me see. I thought I saw like Ricochet being involved in another one of those matches.
Oh God, Ricochet. I don't know why that made me laugh. It just did. But
let's see. I swear I saw 4 million pesos high flying 4-way match. Ricochet versus Leo
Lord.
Rush versus Hologram versus Mascara Dorada. 4 million pesos high flying 4-way match. Jesus fucking Christ.
Besides the fact that it's flippy and bouncy and shit, like I don't know if they needed to add a stip to that one. They could have just been the opener showcase.
And Mercedes Moné could win another belt on this card too.
Oh fuck. Which one? The CMLL?
CMLL World Women's Title.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, so we will probably not be discussing that too much, but maybe we will.
We'll see what happens.
Whatever's interesting. Yeah, if it's interesting, if it peaks.
Yeah, Night of Champions. We'll know Will we know all the finalists? I think we will because Raw is the last. So SmackDown is some of the semifinals, and Raw is the remaining semifinals. So
I think
That sounds accurate.
Friday is Bliss, Asuka, and Cody J. And then
on
Monday is
Raw. Oh no, I thought the first two were already like the SmackDown ones is the Jade and Roxanne match, and
let's go to Wikipedia.
Sammy and Randy Orton.
So Sammy and Randy is SmackDown.
Yeah, I think Jade and
Jade and Roxanne is as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that should be a fun match.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Well, I guess since we'll already know the finalists, I'm actually very curious on both the potential men's finals matchups that they could easily position here, which would be either
that are very interesting.
Yeah, Cody
Mm-hmm.
Cody and Randy as a finals match is very interesting, though I do think the winner is kind of obvious in that match.
Cody and Sammy's really interesting.
Jay and Sammy would also be a very, very interesting match.
The least interesting would be Jay and Randy, but even then, that's still got some intrigue right there.
Yeah, I think the two that are the obvious guys that were a pair or have natural affinity to each other would pose the better options, but Jay and Cody on Monday will also be a very interesting match to watch. So.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
Excited.
That is not a hot take.
Okay, you guys have anything else you want to add?
No, I've got a long day ahead of me tomorrow. So, Brandon, if you've got nothing else, I'd like to close this out.
Yeah, figure it out, bud. Take her on home.
I'm going to shut the door to the Hot Take Emporium. We're going to lock that door, throw the key behind us. We'll come back to it 6 months or longer. Who knows? But as always, thanks for stopping to the Ope 3-Way. Have a beer on us. We'll see you next time. Have a great night.